Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio for the Newsfirst team. I'm Dithmini De Silva.
Newsfirst headline.
Bilateral debt agreements to be signed tomorrow, says Cabinet spokesperson. Bar Association of Sri Lanka warns against MP interference in judicial functions. US report highlights gains and gaps in Sri Lanka's anti-trafficking efforts. In news overseas, International Criminal Court issues arrest warrants for Russia's Shoigu and Gerasimov. And in cricket, Australia's Warner bows out of international cricket. The news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has informed the Cabinet that the agreement related to bilateral debt restructuring will be signed tomorrow. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Bandulu Gunawardena said the President delivered a comprehensive briefing to the Cabinet, emphasising the importance of these agreements for Sri Lanka's financial stability. He added following the President's presentation, he authorised the Sri Lankan delegation, which includes the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, Treasury heads and State Ministers, to attend the Paris Club meeting. The Cabinet has granted approval for the signing of these agreements on behalf of the Sri Lankan government. President Wickremesinghe also announced that all executed agreements and their modalities will be disclosed to Parliament. The Cabinet spokesperson said the President also plans to address the nation, sharing this achievement as a development for all Sri Lankans. In more local news, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka says that members of Parliament should not interfere with the functions of the judiciary or the functions of the JSC by making statements under the protection of parliamentary privileges. It added that such statements will have serious consequences for undermining the public trust and the confidence placed in the judicial system. In a statement on Tuesday, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka said that it reaffirms its commitment to safeguard the independence of the judiciary and upholding the rule of law. The statement comes in light of the speeches made by the Minister of Justice and several other MPs on the 19th of June during a parliamentary debate. The Bar Association, noting the statement issued by the Judicial Service Association a day earlier, said that it affirms its support for an independent and fearless judiciary, which is essential for the preservation of the rule of law. It noted that any alleged misconduct on the part of any judicial officer must be first inquired into impartially and, if found guilty, dealt with severely, as the office of a judge is sacrosanct in the minds of the people. In other local news, the 2024 Trafficking in Persons report by the US State Department revealed that Sri Lanka does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, but is making significant efforts to do so. It added that the government demonstrated overall increasing efforts compared with the previous reporting period, and therefore Sri Lanka remained on Tier 2. These efforts included increasing convictions of labour traffickers and identifying and providing services to more trafficking victims. It noted that the government cancelled licences and blacklisted more recruitment agencies allegedly responsible for facilitating trafficking. Officials also reported providing assistance to a greater number of migrant workers at Sri Lankan diplomatic missions abroad. However, the government did not meet the minimum standards in several key areas. For more on these stories, visit www.newsfirst.lk. The government did not meet the minimum standards in several key areas.
International news.
The International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Sergei Shoigu, the former Russian defense minister, and leading Russian General Valery Gerasimov for alleged crimes committed during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In a press release, the court said judges had found there were reasonable grounds to believe that the two suspects bear responsibility for missile strikes carried out by the Russian armed forces against the Ukrainian electric infrastructure from at least the 10th of October 2022 and at least until the 9th of March 2023. The Russian officials were suspected of having committed war crimes and crimes against humanity for directing attacks against civilians and civilian objects in Ukraine. To Russia to enlist as foreign fighters in Russia's
Sports
war in
news.
Ukraine. David Warner's international cricket career is over after Australia were eliminated from the T20 World Cup. Afghanistan's dramatic victory over Bangladesh ensured they progressed from the Super 8s to the semi-finals at the expense of the Aussies. It denied 37-year-old opening batter Warner the possibility of 2 more matches at the tournament, including the potential swan song of a World Cup final. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio. For the News First team, I'm Dithmini De Silva.